same commit, if you're always going to same URI, is actually a very useful and convenient device. A badge or whatever has an NFC circuit in it, like whatever it is, to automatically replace this technology, your fingers typing. You just simply do what I did. And if I didn't have this NFC tools application active, I'll show you what happens then. I'm going to push on the I don't know, it doesn't matter, the red button. So, and then you'll see what happens on an Android phone at least. This is kind of difficult. Okay, so now I'm going to push. And, oh, okay, so I've got airplane mode on because this is parallel in Polis. But as you see, it did open a browser window. I think at one point I had to give permission for it to do that, but it does that automatically now, and that's kind of the replacement of the typing technology. Now, what other replacements are there? Do you have access control? Well, I think parallel polni, sort of the hub, I think downstairs, or there's access control via NFC. So as long as those doors or the reading devices can support that, what was it, ISO, now it's gone, but you saw the ISO 1334 or whatever protocol, then you can use these badges to enter doors, to use access control. There's just a whole ton of things. In fact, I think we can see some of the options. So we could program with text, URLs. This is, I'm sorry, but this means a user-defined URL. So this could be something that doesn't have an ISO or an IETF URL tag. You can make it like DOG if you have too many dogs and you're trying to keep track of them. Make a user-defined one. You can do like a suchen is search. So I haven't even used half of these. I hate social. Actually, I hate anti-social networks. And so I don't know what that does, but you get the idea. There's all of these different things. There's video links. There's, okay, it's not storing video in case you're planning to put a few films on your badge as you fly back home. It won't hold that much information. It holds 512 bytes. That's enough for URLs. That's enough for text, for almost all of these things. And when it says video there, it's just a video link, right? So there's applications. There's like an email address. There's a contact, so maybe, what do we want to do? How about a telephone number? Is there telephone? Here's a telephone number. So I'm going to reprogram the black button to be a telephone number, and I'll just do 885-1234. That's the telephone number. I'll say OK, and now all I have to do is push on this, schreiben, write to write, onto this badge, right? So I'll put this underneath where the antenna is aligned. All right, push schreib. Nothing happened because I'm not pushing that button on the bottom, remember? You have to remember that. So there it is, schreiben erfolgreich. And so I will put this away, and I'm not sure which button I pushed. I think it was the black one. Let's see what happens if now it's reading, and it found a new tag, but it doesn't know what to do with it, so it's giving me an option, Skype or telephone number. 88512, and I don't know why the 34 is not there, but I think you get the idea. So that's the answer to the question that always comes up, how do you use the badge? It's the same question as how do I use my XYZ device that has an NFC circuit inside. But they are passive, there's no battery, so you always have to have an active element which is reading. And don't forget, if it's not working with your phone, then turn your phone over and use one of these nice things, catch me in the hallway or something like that, and then we'll test with my visiting card, business card, whatever. Right, so that is the nutshell explanation of how to use the badge. Let's see, I have just a little time left, and we can take a look at the KiCad design files and check out the open source files as well. So I hope that it's on this computer. This is KiCad. This is what's useful for designing a new project, and this is a multipass mini. This is not the badge, but I think I'll just, this will take about 5 seconds. So here, take a look. This is what Limpkin, our good friend Limpkin, is creating for us. And this is the Multipass Mini. Anyway, so that was a nice distraction. I think I do have the badge here somewhere. Signet Breakneck. That's the DEF CON badge. Okay, so I just have to move over to this one. Right. And, okay, KeyCAD. So, much better. There's a HCPP NFC badge. First thing I'm going to do, so I don't forget, is I'm just going to open source all of the, what's happening here? Have I not added them? That's crazy. Okay, so then, and we'll say, do a live on-site conference. Super committal. Anybody want to add something? Your words will be engraved in history if you do. Hashtag? Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. What is it? Like that? Should I do this? I don't know. Okay, let's do that. So let's just quickly let me type my password in here. Hardware. Oh, okay. Well, folks, I mean, it didn't let me push the files up. I mean, it's committed, so I'll do the push later on. It didn't let me push the files up because, as you can read in German, right? It's I have two different directories, and the one is out of date, and the other one is fresh. So I have to get stuff in order there. Anyway, the thing that we were trying to do, so this is now the KeyCAD design file project for our HCPP badge. This is how the schematic looks, which you can all download or take a look at on your own later on. This basically means, once I open source that everybody can make their own badges. This is the way a schematic looks, and all a schematic tells you, it basically has very little to do with the hardware design. It just tells you what connections. Like, this could be any part, you're labeling it in the way that you think is appropriate, but this is just any IC integrated circuit with 8 contacts, and you know, it's got a voltage there. And then it's connecting to an antenna over this switch. So this is the thing that, unless you push it, it's kind of intuitive. Unless you push it, it's an open circuit like that. And that's why it can't make the connection to the antenna. You see how that works? The next design file that we can take a look at is this PCB new, and this is kind of what's more descriptive of, I'll turn off the back plane, of the badge. I'm not sure if there's too much to say about this. This is kind of what you do when you design a new device. And then, because we don't have time, but in order to make production and and manufacturing files, you have to click on the plot, and then you make some Gerber files. That's all we need to say about that, in fact. So let's go back to the screen, the slides, and instead of doing a multi-pass, that's too funny. We'll go back here. All right, so we've gotten the online open source locations. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but right, I am forgetting something. It may be important. I'm going to add something here. Back up yo data, all right? Right, so as I was thinking about this, some people are going to use these badges for URIs and for telephone numbers, but I think some people might be using them for secret keys as well. Do you think that? And if you do that, it might be smart to back up the data. So let's see how that works. And then we'll move on to the next screen. So we're going to go back to this application. Now, there's probably a number of ways to read and write tags, but let's do it like this. So I'll imagine, I don't know, if you have two different badges, for example, or an NDEF tag that's like a sticker. Have you ever seen those? That's what you can use for backing up as well. So first I'm going to read from this one. In fact, I'm going to do something really, really nice. I'm going to copy the tag. Oh. I'm going to copy the tag. So if you're using an application which is full-featured and advanced and so on, you can use it. You've probably got a copy tag method. If you don't, you can just read a tag into storage and then write that storage back to a different tag. You get that? So then we're going to do copy tag. It tells me to put the tag to read from on the antenna. I'm going to push on the red button or the black one. I'm not sure. So that has read, and now I will remove this badge. I will put my backup badge, do the same thing. And so my copy is now finished. Now I have two badges, and if I lose one of them, then my secret key is not gone forever. Whether it's a SSH secret key or a GPG secret key or some other secret key, you want to keep those safe. So that would be my suggestion. If you like backing up data, well, one suggestion is what I mean by that. Back up your data, right? So let's see. This is what's making our badges work. This is the core, the heart of the technology. It's the ST Microelectronics M24 SR02Y. Right. I think this Y is simply the footprint, the format. So it might not be indicative. And some of them have different types of circuits, like this is the this one is what we're using. It's the M24, M24 SR02. This one, for example, has a different circuit on there. It has a ST25DV, and this one can do energy harvesting. So I do have an example of that as well. These are some of the developer kits that we use when creating new devices, and this has no battery. That's what's important to notice in this demonstration. This has no battery, and so once I put this on the back of a smartphone, nothing should happen unless it harvests energy, and let's see if it does. Gotta figure out where the loop is and why it's not working. Oh, I think I know, because it's over here. This is the place. Look, it's two different devices. I had them stuck together. Okay, two different devices. So here's a device. It's not working. It has no battery, right? Now what will happen if I put this on there in just the right way? You see? So now it's basically running a microcontroller. This is a real MCU with 3.7 volts, or 3 volts, I guess. And it has no power source of its own, but it's drawing power from the smartphone. These are the type of applications. There's another thing here, for example, with a very large screen. I mean, there's no time to demonstrate everything, but these are all similar circuits with NFC tags and antennas inside. This is what we may consider in future designs. Anyway, but the one that we're using is a M25SR02, and that's what you can get from the hardware design files. You can read that off of them like with a bill of materials or something. I've already explained this. This just basically means that you're protected a bit against attack surfaces, which you can't see. Nobody can take your data without you knowing about it, or theoretically, nobody can take your data without you knowing about it. If you leave your badge in the hotel room, then leave the hotel, and anything can happen, right? All of the traditional attacks are still available. And, okay, we have just one more slide. I'm not sure if we have time to do this crazy bus pirate and oscilloscope demonstration. I will go through we'll go through the steps. If you wanted to diagnose a problem, debug, or attack a badge, you would probably use, this is hard to show. Actually, I'll go through the steps, but I don't think we have time for the full demonstration. And I do need to make sure that I get the polarity right, otherwise I'm feeding power voltage to the wrong pin. So you see that? I've just clipped on to one of those two pins, and I can extract data from it. So if you ever think that these are as good as hardware wallets, they're secured devices, think again. These badges are great for convenient applications for short-term or for low value these technology replacements, but I recommend to not use them for long-term storage or high-value transactions of any kind, GPG or whatever. Right? And usually I can show you a bit of hacking with the bus pirate, which looks like this, in case you're ever interested in taking the next step and really hacking into your badge. Then you can use one of those. That's what the clip is attached to on the other end, a Pomona clip. And that would be a demonstration for which we unfortunately don't have time for. Forgot to show that this is how the badges look before we break them down and separate them and then attach them to lanyards. And I will pass around a few samples, or maybe you're curious how the antenna research and development went. So these are all the antenna formats. I'll pass that around. And I have business cards up here in case you want to ask questions privately. Right, so if you want to just, it's not fragile. If it falls on the floor, it's fine. I do have extra DEF CON badges as well with the lights. So I'm not sure if people would like to, I can't give them out for free, but, oh, this one, the battery just died. But I do have some extras of that as well. And now it's time for questions. Do we have time for questions?
Sure, we have time for questions. So, okay.
Yes, so we just loaded one up with some Bitcoin and paid for it. Can I now then use any Android phone to copy that batch and copy it to another batch and then still pay?
Yes, you can. The data is the same. The only difference is the serial number, but the serial number is not transmitted or used in any way during a normal NFC transmission.
And how much approximately are these worth, or do they cost?
How much does the badge cost? To produce, you mean? It makes a big difference if you're producing many hundreds of thousands or just a couple dozen, right? If you make a very small quantity, about, let's say, 2 dozen, that's about the minimum, I think. And then you buy the parts in that quantity as well. It's hard to estimate. I'm going to say 10 to 15 euros per badge. I mean, I'm using machines that cost 15,000 euros to buy them, so it's not a very good comparison. But you can, I'm always very careful with these type of things to make the design so that you can use hand resolution devices, you know, pliers and tweezers and solder irons. So this will work. You download the sources, you have the PCBs etched, they come in the mail, and then you can solder the parts on all by yourself. You will have some problems with polarity and put the part on backwards and bridges and, you know, getting the solder off, but it would cost 10 to 15 euros, I think, per badge.
Thanks for your talk. I'm pretty new to NFC technology. Is there some kind of negotiation when the phone contacts the NFC chip? I mean, does the card can recognize the phone, or this is just electrical thing?
Well, okay, so yeah, I think I understand the question. It's a very advanced question, isn't it? Because you're thinking the two devices have a kind of intelligence, like every device has, but what are the grades of intelligence? Is this disproportionate? And the fact is, because the badges have no microcontroller, and they have no, well, they don't really have a boot up process. They're not processing anything. They're just storing and forwarding over an I2C connection. I kept it simple. These chips do have I2C circuits implemented as well, and for this reason, the DEF CON badges have a microcontroller in them. But this raises the prices and makes it more complex, and more complexity means less secure, and it means that more people need to work harder at firmware. So the badges for HCPP this year have no microcontroller in them. This is kind of nice if you like keep it simple, KISS-style security, but it means you don't have the opportunity to build rich applications on them. You can't, there's no microcontroller on them. Yeah, that's not, but if you want to compare that, contrast that with the DEF CON badges, they do have a microcontroller on them, and yeah, I can say more about that maybe with more time, but we're developing this further because I think there's enough people excited with this type of format and application and replacement of technology and so on that we'll probably do like a lot more advanced designs in a variety of contexts, places, and I think you'll hear more about that. Any other questions?
Yeah. Hi. So could you summarize again what is the finality for us to be carrying this, and what is the use within this conference? And then what kind of use could we give to this badge once the conference is over and we're not anymore in Prague or here in parallelly? Thanks.
Okay, I can answer about half that question, and I'll let Thomas answer the other half. He's the expert. But what I like to do with these badges, personally, is just to, you know, to decorate my shirt with them. I just, you know, decoration. It gives you kind of a feeling of affiliation with some group. If you know, that's the beginning. That's what a badge actually does, is identify you. I think if you look in the definition of badge in the dictionary, it says it's a piece, an identification piece, right? That's why they're called badge. Now the functionality that's behind it, all of this electronics, after you finish with a conference, you can choose any of those NDEF format tag identifiers. There's about 20 of them. If you have telephone numbers that you're often dialing but you don't want to store them on your phone, because if your phone gets lost or confiscated in a border crossing or something, then you have a method of controlling it with a finer granularity of what's stored on your phone and what's not. You know, it's kind of the sky's the limit, right? I showed you the URIs, and there's just all kinds of other. It didn't fully answer your question, I know, and I believe that some of these badges will just go on the shelf when people go home. but that's okay too, you know, or find a neighbor, a kid, you know, 10, 12-year-old that, I've done this with a 4-year-old, and suddenly a group of 4-year-olds came and wanted badges, and I was doing this. All of them got a badge, they loved them, so that's another application, but it's just not a computer science application. So do you want to explain how you think it might work here on site?
Yeah, here in Polis and in La Fabrica, it's used for like to make the payments quicker. That's all. Like as Michael said, it's not safe for storing like a high value like in crypto or for like high value transactions, because basically in the memory there is a private key stored, and all these POSs and ATMs can work with the private keys in a way that you just tap the badge to the ATM or to the POS. It will scan it and spend the amount that's like displayed on the screen, or top up the money that you put in the ATM. So basically, like normally you pay with your phone, that you scan QR code, confirm the transactions and all these things. In our way, is just like scanning the private key and doing the transaction for you. So you have to trust the device that it will not like steal all your money. But on the other hand, it's like super fast. You just like tap it, press the button, and you are done. Like, you don't have to like scan it, confirm, and all these things.
So it's payment and possibly access. Those are the only two uses that you have.
During the conference, just payment, because like all the doors are just open, and yeah,
And
that's.
outside of the conference, does it has like an additional use that we can have? So we can give it out to kids, but
Like you can still use it in like with every General Bytes ATM or POS. Like it's not just in our building, because General Bytes is one of the biggest suppliers of ATMs and POSs. So it will work with like around the world with everyone.
If you like the idea of hacking around your neighborhood, I haven't done this yet. I don't know if I should say this. So, so all of the libraries today, they're using electronic NDEF tags for some kind of RFID for keeping track of their books, right? So my idea is, I mean, it won't help you steal books, but just to see if you can clone a book, you know, like take two books, you know, the travel book for Prague and a mathematics book for ECDSA, and you clone. Well, I don't know if you can switch them. I don't think you can write those NDEF tags, but I've thought about that as just a funny application, right? And if you go to your neighborhood store, where you can buy things like garage door openers, which used to be you know, infrared or RF activated, you probably will be able to find a door lock which uses either Bluetooth or NFC or both. I mean, your store, your neighborhood electronics store is going to have NFC products. So that's one application. If you would like to look for an application, you can find one in your electronics store and then just overwrite one of those two buttons or both of them. For example, if you have one of these cards from last year, I believe, some of the BATM machines dispense these cards, and they're not NFC, but they are RFID, so it's possible you could read the identifier off of it and clone it onto your badge. So if you're in a city where you have General Bytes ATM machines, then that's another option to keep using it. Any other questions?
Yeah. Hello there.
Oh.
Thanks for the talk. I actually have a twofold question, more or less. Given that you're from the Monero hardware team project, why is Monero not an option on the badge? And the second question is, when will we have more news regarding the Monero hardware wallet?
Okay, two questions. So the first question about why there is no Monero address or spend key on the badges, and so it's not really my decision. I was thinking the same thing. There is a good reason to not do that. Monero users are very interested in anonymity, right? And even though there's protection against this passive data theft by pushing the buttons, the way I understand it, Paralelní Polníci did not want to make the step to kind of force feed a large group of people Monero uniquely identifiable numbers on their badges in respect for the type of group that Monero users are. Is that right, Thomas?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's why I believe there are no Monero addresses on there. To answer the second question, I have a bunch of dedicated Monero hardware wallets here, and I don't know if there's time, actually there's not, to discuss or pass them out, and so you can hold one and see them. Yeah, that's not what this speech was about, so unfortunately there's only so much time for that. I would recommend, there's actually quite a few Monero team members here, and it would be very refreshing to speak with you in private, in the hallway or whatever, ask questions, answer questions, and I'll keep the devices with me so that I can demonstrate or showcase them in kind of a private atmosphere, because this is not about that. But anyway, any other questions?
So one last question.
Just a quick one. How long can it last, the data on this device? I mean, if I put some key or encrypted data, how long can you store it? And
How long can you store it? You mean like the lifetime of the integrated circuit itself? That's a good question, and I think, because I have so this is, we might not be able to get the answer fast enough because the document is very long, but this is how you get answers to these type of questions. So here is a data sheet. I meant to show this before. Actually, this would be the part where we are hacking into the storage using the Pomona clip and tap on to the I2C lines, which are SCL, SDA. And this is the data sheet. So somewhere here, it must have something like lifetime. First of all, the very first page of a data sheet, it always shows you the different formats. And as I said before, the reason that I haven't done a wafer design or a UFD, which has all of the contacts on the bottom, or even this, which is very fine pitched, is about 0.5 millimeter pin pitch. We're using this very large one, which helps you to hack and to understand and learn and debug these chips, right? And then if you want to know about the lifetime, do you think this is it? Number 3. You see, this is not going to access right lifetime. Select it to the end of the... Nah, I don't know. It's not, we're going to need more, like 5 more minutes just to search through the document because it's too long. As you can see, it's like, how many pages? 88 pages long. But you understand where you get those type of answers, right?
Okay, so I think that our time is over. So thank you very much. Thank you for your questions, and thank Michael for producing the batch.
You're welcome.